All right, what's up everyone? My name is Matt and welcome back to another walkthrough video. In this walkthrough video, I'm going to be showing you a lesson which is designed for grade 3, grade 4, or grade 5, and it's about the months of the year and saying their birthdays. Now this lesson can be adapted to all 3 grades. The way I have the PPT set up, you could either directly teach it or you can use it as a template and adjust it the way you like. Now, I think the way that I have it set up is pretty good for grade 5. I actually taught this to grade 3 with pretty good success, but my grade 3s have been learning English in the public school since grade 1, and many of them have classes on the weekend, so I think their level's a little bit higher than most students around China, but it's up to your discretion. So I think you can take a look at the lesson and see what you can get from it. If you guys would like to teach this lesson yourself, there'll be a link in the description below. You can click on that link and download this PowerPoint in minutes. As always, if you guys enjoy content like this, don't forget to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and leave a comment below if you have any questions. Okay, let's get into the walkthrough. Okay, before we take a look at this PowerPoint, I just wanted to say a few things about why I'm putting these lessons online and like my motivation, everything like that. And the main thing is, I think there's just a lot of teachers out there, especially those who teach in public schools, who are given nothing from their schools. They have absolutely no idea what they're doing. How do I know this? Well, I get messages from people telling me that. And also, I was also one of those teachers. You know, when I first came here, there wasn't much help for me either, and I had no idea what I was doing. So I felt very just afraid to that I was going to go into class and not know what I was doing. I didn't understand how to make a PowerPoint. I didn't even understand what the lesson should look like. You know, I didn't even understand what the process of the class would be from beginning to end. And so I spent the first year just experimenting with different stuff, and you know, I had some classes that went well and some classes that went poorly in the same day. You know, I couldn't consistently produce quality classes. It was really difficult for me. So I was thinking well, how can I help other people? You know, what can I do, you know, during this time to help other people? And I realized that by making these types of walkthrough lessons, I can show other people what I know how to do. And by selling people these PowerPoints, I can actually save them a lot of time. And if you think about it, if I'm putting a PowerPoint out there that costs 50 or 55 or 60 RMB or $6, $7 or something, that is actually very cheap. I mean, it took me hours to make this PowerPoint. It took me, and I've been doing this for years, it took me probably from beginning to end, searching for all the photos and everything, it probably took me 3 hours to make this PowerPoint, you know, and I could make a lot more than that, you know, I can make hundreds of RMB in an hour. So, you know, I know that everyone, especially if you're teaching in China, your time is valuable. You know, you can go out there and make 300, 400, 500 RMB in 1 hour. So if you spend 50 RMB to get a product which is ready to go, or something which you can build off of as a template, I know that this is a good value. And you know, if you go in, for example, if you download the PowerPoint and you go into, you know, your class, you'll be ready and have a better class. Or you'll download the PowerPoint, you'll see the PowerPoint and think, you know, this is not exactly what I need, but it's 60, 70, 80% of the way there. And it's much easier to take something which is already built and adjust it. You know, it's easier to do that. I could take one PowerPoint lesson and I could make 5 different types of lessons off of it. You know, because it's easier to build something off a framework. So I just want to say a few words about that, about why I'm doing this before we get started. So let's get into the video. I'm not going to show you the intro of the lesson because, as I say in all my videos, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same as whatever you've seen on my channel, as far as how I do the beginning of my class with the rules and everything. So there's no real point in me showing it, so let's just skip ahead. Okay, so I've designed this lesson for either grade 3, 4, or 5. Actually, when I taught this last year, I taught it to grade 3, but my grade 3s have had a foreign teacher and they've had English since grade 1 in the public school, and I would probably say 60, 70% of them are pretty serious about taking English lessons outside of school every week. Some of them have online classes, a lot of them have online classes. So their English level is a little bit higher. So I would say if you're teaching at a school that's not the case, where maybe English was first taught them in 3rd grade, this class could be taught in grade 4 or even grade 5. You know, I think that's definitely true. So if you're teaching this to grade 5, I would definitely recommend you use a notebook. Make sure that they're writing down the new words. If you're teaching it to grade 3, yeah, I mean, my students could write it down, but grade 3 students write slower, so even in my school, like it'll take them a lot longer to take notes, but grade 5, like they should easily be able to write everything down quick enough that it won't slow the class down too much. So every time they see this little notebook icon on the screen, they'll know to take notes. Okay, so for grade 5, I think it's necessary. Grade 4, up to you. Grade 3, I think, you'll spend a lot of time. If you're seeing your kids, 2 or 3 times a week, then yeah, that's great. But for me, I see them once a week. So spending a lot of time during a 40-minute class to do that is not really a good use of that time, okay, since I'm teaching spoken English. Okay, for the warm-up, I'm not going to do a specific warm-up because I don't have a ton of time in class, so I'm going to use the warm-up time to review. And if you download this PowerPoint, you can just drop any of your review material here. And for me, I would just put like the previous 2, 3, 4 weeks of material, like 1 slide each, to do some practice with them. Maybe even include some games from the previous weeks. Okay, so let's get into the lesson. So this lesson is the months of the year, and they're going to learn how to like say when their birthday is, what month their birthday is in. And also we're going to talk a little bit. So for my class in grade 3, they're able to communicate with me. They have like limited vocabulary, but like they can still try to talk to me. At least like 50% of the class can raise their hand and try to formulate sentences. If you're teaching this to grade 5, they should definitely be able to. So the focus for my class in grade 3, and if you're teaching this to grade 5, they had exposure to the months. They know most of them, but they just need to review them. Like I can't just ask my grade 3 students like, what month is your birthday? And they're going to be like, they know it, they've learned it, but it's like, they can't remember it exactly. So in this class, or if you're teaching this to grade 5, they should have probably learned the months before. If they haven't, you can teach it to them in this class. But I think they've seen a bunch of them before. But just remember, the months in English are quite difficult compared to the months in Chinese, for example. Okay, so it's definitely something that, go slowly through the beginning of it. Make sure they can say the words. Make sure they're pronouncing them correctly. So I would go through each one. And as I always do, I show the word in their native language, and I see who knows it. And like I said, my grade 3s, a bunch of them knew like most of the months. So the class went quite smoothly. If you're at a school at lower level, I wouldn't recommend teaching this to grade 3, at least not all at once. If you download this PowerPoint, you can split it up into 2 lessons if you like, if you're teaching it to grade 3. For grade 4, grade 5, I think it's fine the way it is. So go through each one, say each one, make sure they're repeating after you. You can just drill, make sure that you're drilling this with the class. You say it, they say it, you say it, they say it. Because these are hard. Okay, so go through each one, one by one. And you can award points, as students raise their hand. Like generally what I'll do if I'm going to award points is I'll start with like team 1. So I'll be team 1, how do you say this in English? And again, try to be consistent with how you ask them for information. How do you say this in English? How do you say this in English? And then call on a student from team 1. They tell you January. Okay, you give team 1 a point. Then go to the next one. Okay, how do you say this in English? Team 2, how do you say this in English? Okay, February. Okay, give a point. And so on and so forth with all of your teams. Now, if you don't know about the team structure, definitely have teams in your class, whether it's 2 teams or 4 teams or 6 teams or whatever it is. I like to have competition, especially in a large class. It keeps the class exciting. And if the class is exciting, they'll be more willing to pay attention and they'll have a stake in it. So if you're curious about anything like that, you can check out the videos in my class. You'll see how I run the class as a competition with points and stars, and how I think this is just a great method for teaching in a large public school to make sure that they're focusing and motivated to talk. Everything in my class is trying to get them to produce the target language of the class and also some extra language. Okay, so this is really important. So you go through all of the months, have them write them down in their notebook. Like I said, if you're teaching it to grade 5, for sure, have them write down their notebook. Like I said, grade 3, it'll be tough. It'll take a while, but if you see them more than once a week, for sure, have them write it down. And also, them being able to reference this during class is going to be important. If you download this PowerPoint from me, I'm also going to email you the flashcards for free, and you can put the flashcards on the board so they can reference them during the class. Okay, so a great way to get them to review and remember these are to sing a song. Now you could show the song before you show all the vocab. That's a method, but like I wanted to see what they knew. And so I don't do that in my class. I want to know what they know. I'm constantly trying to just calibrate in my mind what their level is. So when I'm creating lessons, I can be better informed. If I'm always showing them how to say it in English before I ask them, or before I try to cue it with the Chinese word or whatever language you're teaching, whatever their native language is, you will never know what they actually know, and you'll go into every class blind. So I like to, it's almost like a pop quiz, right? You show them something and you're like, how do you say this? And it's like a pop quiz, but they're not being graded. And pop quizzes, as you know, are a great way to teach, because learning theory and all that. Okay, so I have a song here that you can use, the super simple songs, great songs, super simple learning. They have great songs. There's a bunch of them. The Singing Walrus also has a good song for the months of the year. So after I go through each one, I'll show them the song. Some teachers have a different method. They like to, show the song first, but for the reasons I just stated, I don't like to do that. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so right after this, we're gonna have our first real game. It's the quick say game, very basic. It's a great way to get them to repeat the vocabulary back to you. The way the quick say game works is I say the new vocabulary and they say, in this case, a number. Okay, so I say September, they say 9. And this is really important anytime you're teaching a game, even if it's a game they already know how to play. I say the rules and I explain how to do it again, because them hearing me say a sentence, fluently, even stuff that they can't say themselves. Like, for example, first, I'm going to say the new word. You only have to say the number. Okay, so they're going to hear me explain this again and again and again and again. And because of that repetition of them hearing me say it again and again, they're picking up different stuff. I mean, you can say it a little bit different than that, obviously. Use your own words or whatever, but I always explain the rules of the game every single time, okay? Because I want them to hear. Just like, when I listen to a Chinese person explaining something to me, I'm learning how to explain that to someone else by listening, okay? I'm learning more grammar. I'm learning different, just like the way the sentence flows, everything, okay? So I always say everything again, even though they know the quick say game. If I do it, twice a month, they know it, okay? So pretty much always start with you saying the new word, them saying in this case, the number, or you could do it with colors, you could do it with previous vocab. If you taught transportation or something, you put like a car, a bus, a subway, little pictures of them. There's all sorts of stuff you could do to both review old stuff and also teach new stuff. So first I'll say May, they say 5. Whoever's first, I'll give a point to their team. Generally, they'll be you'll be able to hear that a student says it before everyone else. If they all say it at the same time, I either give a point to all the teams or I say, it's a tie, no points. It's a tie, no points. And then, so I'll say July, they say 7, okay? Some girl says it really fast, so team 3 gets 1 point. And then I switch it and I'll say the number and they say the month, okay? So I say 6, they say June. So this is just a very, very simple game to just get them to quickly produce the language. Okay, and then we have another game. Okay, I call this game Flying Months. This is a fun game because it's pretty hard. So we just saw all the months. We saw pictures of them. The way the flying game works is I'll tell them the months are going to fly from the bottom to the top. Okay, when you see what the month is, quickly say the month. The first student to say the flying month will get 1 point or 2 points or whatever. So here's how it works. All you do is click, and one of the months will fly up, okay? And if they didn't catch it, you can just click back on your clicker and then do it again, okay? And it'll fly past. And they should be able to, it's fun, it's exciting, it's eye-catching, they like it. Whoever says it first gets 1 or 2 points, okay? So the next one flies past, December, April, January, you get the picture. So they're flying up, and the first student to see it will get a point. It's really fun. The kids like it. Honestly, it doesn't matter what age they are. They're going to think it's exciting. So, and also when they say it, so if they see May and some boy says May, then I go May, and everyone says May. Okay, so you get them to say the vocabulary many times as you can. And also, if you want to speak a language fluently, you need to be able to almost instantaneously think and say. right? That's how you become fluent. You can't be going word to word to word. It's going to be really difficult to communicate. So you want to get this, like, the brain, like, firing quickly with the new words, okay? It's just like a good exercise for them, for their brain, the brain muscle, right? It's like if you're exercising, if I'm gonna go out and run 5 miles, I'm gonna do some form work, some warm up, especially if I'm gonna try to do it fast. If I'm gonna run a race, before the race starts, I'm gonna get those muscles, which I'm gonna use during the race, warmed up. And that's what we're doing here, okay? And it's exciting, okay? So you go through each one and another game, okay? I've included a bunch of games here in the beginning. Now, if you teach this lesson yourself, of course, you can remove whatever you want. This is a PowerPoint which you can edit. So I'm giving you a PowerPoint that you can edit wherever you like, okay? You can take games out, tweak games, change them, change the vocab. You could take this PowerPoint, download it from me, and change it into a totally different lesson, okay? The key is that you have like a template which just gets you a lot of the way there. So choose a tile game. Very simple. I will tell the students, choose a number, okay? I will click the number and the number will disappear. And you can use the first one as an example before you actually start playing. So you just say, okay, this is an example, who would like to try? So a student stands up and I say, okay, choose a number. And again, this is great because we're reviewing the numbers at the same time. We're reviewing the numbers and also learning and reviewing the new words. So if you're teaching this to grade 5, maybe you want to change the numbers to, like, 61, 62, 63, 64, whatever. You can change whatever you like. Here, I designed it so it's easy. Grade 3, grade 4 can easily do this. And so what they would do is say 9. Okay, oh, click it, it goes away. What month is that? Okay, maybe it's on the tip of their tongue. Oh, what month has the sunflower? Okay, then you don't know. No one knows. No one knows. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No one knows. Okay, someone else. 11. Still not sure. Okay, call another student from another team. 13. Okay, and eventually someone's going to realize what it is, and all you have to do is click on the clicker instead of clicking on the PowerPoint. Because if, like, you have a touch screen, you can just touch the touch screen to reveal these, or on a mouse. You just click this and it'll show the right answer. So it should be November. You can quickly click through and show them this is November. See? And if they're older students, like grade 5, you can say, what holiday is in November? Especially if you taught the holidays before. If you first taught the holidays and now you're teaching what month they're in, it's perfect, okay? So whoever said it first, whoever was able to figure out what month that was first, can get a point or 2 points or whatever. So next one, okay, team 4, who would like to try? All right, they'll probably choose the ones in the middle. Most students will probably say the ones in the middle. So if you want, you could make these vocabulary words, or they could all be flashcards, from the previous year or the previous week. Each one of these could be a flashcard, So it's like, let's say you taught transportation or something. It's all like car, bus. Then you have like other random nouns, tree. You could do it anything you want. It's real easy to edit this. All you do is right click it and you go into format picture, click the picture, and you can go into your files and select a picture. You will have to delete the 13, the numbers, but it's real easy. You can change this, adjust this however you like. I just kept it real simple, but this template is great for doing, a whole bunch of other stuff. It's already programmed and everything. So they say they'll call out the numbers. You call on someone, they say a number, it reveals. Whoever figures out this is January 1st gets points. And you rinse and repeat, okay? You could just imagine what it would be like if you changed these into flashcards, how fun it would be. Because it's all a bunch of flashcards and then you could even do it like this. Like if they're flashcards from previous weeks, you can literally point at one of the flashcards and say, what's this? There's a bunch of flashcards there and you just walk up and you're like, what's this? And the first student to say what that flashcard is can get a point for their team. And then you remove it. So for example, if you taught transportation word, there's transportation words, there's a picture of a bus. And but there's there's 20 other pictures, other random nouns. And then you walk over and you what's this? And you point at the bus. And the first student to say, it's a bus or bus gets a point, and then you remove bus, okay? There's a bunch of ways you can play this. That's what I'm trying to say. You don't have to watch this lesson, this walkthrough and say, oh, his lesson is pretty good, but I don't really like it that much. You can change it. You can change it, okay? So this one is pretty easy. It should be easy for them, especially if they're grade 5. That's Santa, right? So it's December. okay? And rinse and repeat. There's a few extra slides here, okay? And that's how this game works. Let's move on. Okay, so now we have another game. Now, as I said before, I purposefully added in a bunch of games here just so you had a bunch of options, things you could do with the class, just to give you more ideas. You know, you could take this game and maybe you don't use it in this lesson, but you can use a game like this for another lesson, and now you have a nice template or just a good idea for something you can use. In my class for grade 5, I'll definitely do this one because I think it's better for grade 5 than maybe the previous game, but it's up to your own discretion. My grade 5s would probably like this game a little bit more. So what you do is we bring up one student from each team and give them a spot on the board to write, just like a little line, and give them chalk. And the way it works is you show them this and they need to fill in the blank, okay? Or you could have them write the whole thing. You can have them, write the full word just with the missing letter filled in as well. It's up to you. You can either say write the letter, or you can actually have them write the full word, adding the letter that's missing. Okay, and once they show it, then you all say July, and then those 4 students sit down, bring up 4 more students, say, are you ready? All right, go. Okay, what letter's missing? Okay, so they can either, like I said, write the one letter or write the full word out and make sure they capitalize the first letter. Okay? I think it's a very fun game. Again, in the beginning of the game, make sure you explain it. You can say something like, like for example, let's just show this. You're like, one of the letters is missing. What letter is missing? You must write the full word. Now here I have fill in the blanks. So, the name is pretty much open to either possibility. Either write the letter or write the full word and fill in the blank. So there's a few rounds of this. Like I said, with my grade 5, I'll definitely play this game. It's something a little bit different, and they'll enjoy it. It's exciting, and learning how to spell the words for grade 5 is important. And yeah, it's a really good game. So, teaching part 2. Okay, so the next part of this lesson is designed to get them to talk. Okay, so at the beginning of the lesson, we're just learning the months. It's pretty basic, especially if you're teaching this to grade 5. It'll be a nice review, but it's pretty basic. So in this part of the lesson, it's designed to get them to try to talk and give me reasons why. And I actually want to hear what they think. So this is the translation of this Chinese word in English is the word think. And if you're teaching this to grade 3, you can adjust this part of the lesson a little bit if you like, or not. I mean, I think grade 3 could do it, but they might not be able to tell you why. But they're going to be able to say the sentence if you say it a few times with them. With grade 4 and grade 5, they should definitely be able to do it. So here's the way it works. So first, I'm going to ask them, what city do you think this is? Okay. Now, most students are not going to know probably what city it is, but I gave them, here's the structure of this part of the lesson. So they're going to be saying, I think this is, in this case, the city, but in the next few slides, it's going to be what month they think it is. And all of the pictures come from this city, okay? So when I taught this to grade 3, unless they had actually traveled to New York, because this is New York City, they are not going to know what it is. Unless they really are into travel or into pictures of like other countries, they're not going to recognize like Empire State Building, okay? There's probably even some Americans who probably wouldn't recognize, okay? So I'm not going to be upset if they don't know. Like when I taught this to grade 3, I did have some students who knew it was New York. They were telling me in Chinese, the Chinese word, but a lot of them told me like Shanghai or Beijing or something like that. So the main part of this lesson is I want them to say, I think this is, and whatever month it is. And all the pictures come from New York City, okay? So here's the way it works. I have the structure up there. So I think this is, and they should be telling me, I think this is, and what month do they think it is? Okay, so you can call on one student from each team, have them stand up, and have them tell you what month they think it is. Okay, so there's some clues here, right? You have like some flowers blooming, it's probably not the winter, but it's probably not the summer. So let's see if they can guess what it is. Okay, so once they guess, I'll say why. And this is where I'm really trying to pull some extra language out of them. With my grade 3s, some of them could give me some whys, like about the flowers, about the trees, stuff like that. That's what I'm looking for. I'm trying to get them to talk, really try to get them to talk. So they say, I think this is March, or I think this is April. And I say, why? And they say, because the flowers. Okay, that's a good enough answer. I'll be like, good job, okay? And so there's 4 students who are participating, 1 student from each team. Whoever was able to get it right can get a point for their team. So I'll reveal that this is April, okay? April is spring, and in April there are flowers, okay? And then the next one, okay? So here we go. I think this is, and they're looking, they're trying to think, okay, does it look like summertime? Is it cold? Is it warm? Okay, and whatever they tell me, those 4 students, I'll ask them why, and they'll try to give me their answers, okay? Like I said, if you're teaching this to grade 3, and it's the first time you're teaching them the months, like their level's going to be quite a bit lower, but if you're teaching this to grade 5, it's a great way to pull some language out of them. And you can even put them in small groups if you like. Yeah, they're in teams, but you can tell them, like, if you have a certain setup in your class where they're at tables, yeah, you can like have them, discuss what month they think it is together. There's a bunch of ways you could do this class. In my class, the way that my tables are set up in rows, like I can't be like, okay, everyone get in a group, it'll turn into chaos. But if you have like a way, if you can design your own classroom and you have different tables, or if you're teaching this with a small group of maybe only 10 kids and you can have groups of 2 or 3, it's great for them to discuss together what month they think it is and then come up with their answer, okay? And so this is December. There's some clues there, right? There's the Christmas ornaments if they knew. Some of them might know. Like if they say, I think this is December, and I'll say, why? And they'll say, because the Christmas, okay? It's a good answer. It's good enough. I'll say it back to them correctly. Oh, because these go on the Christmas tree, right? Okay, so they get points if they're right, okay? And you keep going for the next one. So I think this is what month, okay? They might realize that the leaves are changing. They might realize it's fall, okay? Whatever they tell you, if they say this is September, you say, why? I had a lot of students telling me it was September, and I had to tell them after I revealed that it's not, that it's October, that September is still the summer. Technically it's still the summer. These leaves start to change in October, okay? And again, try to pull some extra language out of them and just make your own call. Like, can your grade 3s do it? If not, just make it easier. You don't have to ask them why. You can try to get them to say that sentence, or you can just show them a picture and you can say, what month is it? And they can just tell you, it's October, it's November. You can make it easier. You can adapt it and make it easier. In my class with grade 3, I'm trying to push them a little bit, try to push them and really push the students who might have like better English than the rest of the class. They're like, oh, these months are easy. And it's like, okay, you're so good at English. Let's hear what you can say, okay? Let's hear what you can say. And in my class of 40, 45, there's at least between 5 and 10 kids in each class that are pretty good. In some classes, even more than that, like 15 or 20 that are pretty good. So you'll get some answers out of them. And they're, their listening is quite good. They'll know exactly what you want, but for them forming fluent sentences is the difficult part, okay? Which is understandable. Okay, and rinse and repeat throughout, okay? So these are very obvious, like what season it is, but knowing what month it is, it's not that obvious, okay? So it's a fun game, it's a fun activity, and it'll get them to talk, which is the goal, right? The goal is to get them to talk. So rinse and repeat here. And I tried to pick pictures which I thought, were pretty obvious. There's a school bus there. There's people wearing short sleeves, so it's still summer, it's still warm. Maybe they'll figure out that this is September, okay? And so on and so forth. Okay, let's move on. Okay, teaching part 3. So in the next part of this lesson, we're going to be learning a new word. I think for grade 3, it might be a new word. For grade 4 or 5, I think they're gonna know it. Of course, first, see if they do know it, have them raise their hand and tell you, and then have them write in their notebook, say it a few times with them, and then move past. So now we're asking the question, what month is your birthday in? Okay, now in this lesson, I'm not going to be asking them to tell me what day their birthday is and the month. It's just too much, because when we say our birthday, we say the ordinal numbers, like my birthday's on the 3rd of July. It's difficult, teaching the months and then also teaching those ordinal numbers. So when I did it with grade 3, I made the mistake of trying to do both, and it was too hard. Okay, so if you want to teach them how to say their birthday with the ordinal numbers, I recommend do that in the next lesson, or just later on, maybe a few weeks later after they really can say the month really well. then you include that. So in this lesson, I just want to drill them with saying what month their birthday's in. And if you're teaching this to grade 5, you can ask them. Maybe they can say it. You can say what day, you can try it and just see what their level is. Okay, but there's 12 months. They're hard. For grade 3 and 4, it might be too much. Some of the kids might already know the months, but maybe a bunch don't, especially if you're teaching to a public school, because there's lots of kids in the class. So have them write down, the question, what month is your birthday in? And then my birthday is in, a blank. And then you can ask students, what month is your birthday in? I would call on 1 or 2 students from each team, but the next part of the lesson, they're going to get a chance to say it a bunch of times. Okay, so again, the game is there to get them excited about talking in English. So the target practice game is really fun for this. So draw a bullseye or target on the board, and really simple. You can play this a few different ways. You have a sticky ball, like a ball which will stick to the board, or if you have a gun, you can use it as well and change into a shooting game, like with a Nerf gun. That's really fun. The way it works is you have one student from one of the teams come up, and the whole class or their team will say, what month is your birthday in? If you want to get more control, you can just have the teammates of the person who comes up, like that row or whatever, have to ask the question, and based on how well they ask, you can award them points. So they all say it together, or they're all saying it very nicely. They can have 5 points or 3 points or whatever. Then that student will say, my birthday is in May, and if you want to challenge them, you can say, what day? Maybe they'll be able to tell you. And then they throw the sticky ball at the bullseye, and whatever they hit on the bullseye is how many points they get. You can make it more interesting by having different places on the floor where they can stand. So if they're standing really close, they can get +1. If they're standing at a mid-level, they can get +2. And then if it's the furthest away, they can get +3. So if they're throwing from the first line, which is +1, and they hit a 5, it's 5 + 1 = 6. And I actually put this on the board. I'll have an equation. I'll have blank plus blank equals blank. And if they're at number 1, for the first blank, I'll write 1, okay, before they throw. Then they throw, they hit a 3, I put the 3, and I say 1 + 3 equals, and I just do this every single class so that they are hearing me say this language again and again and again, plus and equals. And they'll see very clearly, okay, they get 4 points. Okay, 4 points, and add it to their team, and then the next student comes up. The student's real brave. He's like, I'm going to stand as far away as I can, +3. So I put on the blank 3 plus, okay, he throws, he hits a 2, 3 + 2 equals 5. And obviously they're going to ask and answer the question like we did with the first student. And the key with any game is we're getting them to say the target language again and again and again and again, okay? If you're teaching this to grade 3 and you think the previous part of the lesson is just too hard, getting them to say, I think this is whatever, you can shorten that part, make it just like 1 or 2 slides, just to mix things up a little bit, and then go directly into this. And you can play this game for 5 or more minutes, maybe even 8 minutes if you like. So each team can have a few rounds of it. And yeah, it's a fun game. The kids like to throw the sticky ball, and we're just getting them to drill the language, which is the ultimate goal. Get them to say the target language again and again and again and again. And yeah, I think that would be enough for a 45 minute class. And yeah, that is the end of the lesson. At the end of the lesson, make sure you count the score, award points to the winning team, take a note in your notebook or on your phone or whatever, which team won, which team gets the star. And yeah, that's the end of the lesson. Okay, that's the end of the walkthrough. I really hope you found that useful. If you did, don't forget to smash that like button. It really helps out my channel, and it helps push this video to other teachers like you who are searching for content like this. Also, don't forget, if you'd like to teach this lesson yourself, there's a link in the description below. You can download it in minutes. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.